Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review round 15 of the 2025 AFL Supercoach season. It's a pretty good week for us, well above our average with a top 4% round finish thanks to a 22-14. Did see us move up 7,000 spots in the rank, so we have cleared the top 50k. And hopefully can continue to move up, but given the amount of trades left and the position of our team, not the most likely. So, yep, had a win. Thanks for coming. In terms of the defence this week, so Geordie Clark with 119. This is probably the one sort of keeper we've had all season. Probably Harry Sheasel as well is doing alright, 103, but obviously only a 104 average. We're hoping for a bit more than that from him, given the amount we paid from the start. McKercher bounced back a bit this week with a 96, so I think this cut price defence is going to do an okay job. Fryer with an 82, on average, so can't expect much more than that. Callum Mills with a 121, so we traded Mills in this week and he brained it, and definitely part of our defence to finish the season. Carroll with the 63 was pretty good too, so continues to make some good money, negative break even on top of the 133k we've made, so he might form part of the final upgrade, unless obviously we have to cover for injuries. In the midfield, Andy Brayshaw with 103. It was Sarong's week, more so than Andy's, so that's fine. Butters with a 130 is good. Bont with a 177 was massive, so we ended up taking the VC score, and I thought it was an easy decision, but Bont tried to make us look silly. Dacos with a 157 was also massive. Love to see it. Finn Callahan with the 113 was quite good, but on the bye this week, unfortunately. Jai Caldwell with the 125 was really good as well. Zach Merritt with a 92. I guess he'd be a luxury upgrade, just given that his role probably isn't quite where it would be. But yeah, I think I've got to keep him. O'Driscoll with 67 finally making his return. Potential signs for improvement there. Might sort of not make a lot of cash this week, but should reset his break even after the lower scores drop out. I think it was a 30, the injury game. Oliver on the bye this week. We didn't take Johnson's 32, which was the right call. Cherry with just the 79 was a little bit flat in the game against Carlton, but they did double team him, so fair enough. But we brought in Luke Jackson, so I think last week I had Draper in this spot, and obviously I think I had a couple of different moves, but basically just thought about it, and it's like I've got to take a risk. There's no point playing smart when you're so far down the table. So brought in Luke Jackson. He had the prime matchup and absolutely delivered with the 186. As I said, Bont tried to make me look silly by almost beating that, but it was the right call in the end. So Bailey Smith with an 85 was a little bit underwhelming, but no stress there. Martin with 93 was okay. Daniel with 91 we take. Kako with a 57 was above average, so can't really complain. And Tom DeConning with a 76. So, again, sort of, I guess, having to share time with Pitney wasn't ideal. So I'd end up eating into both of our rucks, just the way it goes. But in terms of the league, big scalp getting the win over Rayno's top-ups. Shane was top of the table. Still is, to be fair. I've gone the wrong way. Just to highlight that. But I snuck in 20 points, 24 to be exact. And yeah, it started off pretty good. He had Brayshaw as the VC, so that was a nice, easy decision there. But he had Holmes with a 110. Even his lower players like Warner 93, Horn Francis 88. I mean, I'm playing Kako in that spot. Sort of would have been happy to have those. But then Wanganeen Miller with a 142, Marshall with a 124, and then Bond as captain had Darcy with a 144. It was a little bit close there at the end, but like I said, fell over the line, so I'll take it. Big scalp. But elsewhere in the league, there's a few other 2200s, but Scoregasms, Fab's team with a 2297 was the best. So yeah, Luke Jackson, VC, had Sarong, had Dunkley for a 126, Zorko turned up, had Butters, Darcy Cameron with a 156 is a good get, had Bont, had Dacos and Wanganeen Miller, so some monster scores there. Looks like his lowest was Erasmus with 58, so could have potentially had a few more points as well if things like Whitfield hadn't got concussed, that sort of thing. I guess just quickly looking at some other big scores from this week. So the big two featured there. Wits 163 was massive. Grundy. So I've seen a few people getting on Grundy as got a prime run at the back end of the season as a sneaky pod at ruck, maybe in the flex. So that'd be nice to be able to get to him. Luke Ryan scored well with 157. Tim English, so lots of rucks doing well. So I think, the 3 rucks are the way to go. Just wasn't Cherry or TDK this week. Tuke Miller, Noah Anderson scoring well for the Suns. Tommy Green scored well, 136. Isaac Heaney, 134 is a good return from him. Jack McRae was another one I was interested in as a forward keeper, 131. Bailey Humphries had a good week again, 131. Will Ashcroft, 129. I think Levi scored pretty well too. I might try and go down a bit more, just make sure I don't miss any other real cheap scores that went big. So yeah, Levi with a 112. So I think Roberts as well was the other trade out this week who went pretty well, but didn't quite work out in terms of I traded him out. But it sounds like he's playing on the wing, so I think it's a long-term right call to use that money to get up to Jackson, but it does leave my defence a little bit vulnerable. In terms of break-evens, look at some cheapies for this week. So obviously McCarthy's back from the bye, so he'll be very popular if he's not already there. Ralston scored an 82, so well done if you had him last week with a 41k bump. And still has a nice break even if you can afford that sort of higher priced rookie. Archer May with an 83 set himself up nicely for after the bye, bottom dollar option. Nick Madden with a 99, so jumped up 83k, negative 58 break even. It's just how long he gets after the bye with is it Briggs I think come back in the team. Butler will be a popular option this week, coming off the bye on the bubble, negative 50 break even. Potentially Ramsden as well, similar sort of stats to Butler. And Liddy is probably the other one, so 59 this week, but is bottom dollar. Midfield only is probably the only downside, but not too bad. Blackiston, I guess, if you want a bottom dollar ruck to make some money. Obviously, you missed out on Madden last week. Could be on the bubble next week. Vizentini debuted 71 against Jackson's not the worst, but it's a little bit more expensive than Blakiston. I think they're probably the most relevant options moving forward. But in terms of my team this week, we do only have 4 trades left, so it's getting a bit bleak. But I think we're going to stick to the plan, which was to upgrade Kako and get in Darcy. So we need to find 70k. We're hoping Darcy dropped a bit more, but he just brained it last week, so it is what it is. Probably means one of two options. So we could potentially go gross all the way down to May at bottom dollar. Actually, I don't even think we can do that, can we? Yeah, 97. So we're just short of that. So I guess it makes the decision even easier. Just do that. And that is Johnson. So with his 32, break even of 14, there's not a lot of cash left in him. So we will take advantage of the money that he has made, and we'll just go to Liddy, a bottom dollar cheapie. Might be a useful number this week, we'll see. So it leaves us with 52k in the bank. And if we have a look, if we set up the sort of full team, so Oliver would obviously be in there. Other than that, it's pretty well what it's going to be. So, maybe McCarthy over Carroll. So, with Tom McCarthy as D6 is pretty scary on top of, Fryer, McKercher, Mills. I think Mills is alright. These two, don't know how they're going to go at the back end. But we can sort of loop McCarthy, Carroll for D6. That's fine. Midfield's okay. Obviously, if we could upgrade Merritt and Oliver, we would, but we can't. We do have O'Driscoll as cover as well, so not all is lost in the midfield. Gawn, Cherry, TDK as our rucks is all good. And then the forward line, so Hewitt as F6 again isn't ideal, but we've got 5 decent options up front. And I guess, if this was McRae, we'd be happy. If it was Horn Francis, Warner, Petrarca, Rankin, probably better, but we'll take what we can get. So 2 trades left. Obviously, probably just going to cover injuries. If we get to how many? So you still got like 8 rounds. If we get to about round 20 and everything's still going okay, I reckon we could probably turn Carroll and O'Driscoll into a D6. And we brought in Charleston as that loop just to sort of swing McCarthy between defence and midfield. I guess the issue with that is we really don't have any forward cover with Tom Gross potentially not playing and Simpson's not back till pretty much around 2021 anyway. So a bit sketchy, but it is what it is. it's not our preferred format, so it's just a bit of fun. And probably part of keeping the trades alive too will just be to go through potential options as much as we can. Try to keep the content coming. But in terms of this week, we've got a few not playing, so we'll swing O'Driscoll and Liddy on the field. Actually, I'll put Callahan on, just why not? I guess we do have an extra in the defence, so we will swap Charleston back. So this is basically what he was brought in for. So a full midfield, if you want to call it that, and full defence. Bring Carroll in. Got both rucks on board this week, and maybe Gross gets a run, but unlikely. So yeah, we could have as many as 22 this week, albeit Gross probably not. Liddy probably won't want his score. So yeah, it's whatever. So captain, vice captain. So you got Port Carlton on Thursday night. So probably Butters as VC. Carlton aren't setting the world on fire, so we'll run with that. Into captain. Collingwood up against West Coast, so probably Dacos is the option. Bont against Sydney's not the worst. Gawn and Witzel probably have a good battle. Could go Cherry against Meek. Could go TDK as a VC against whoever the Port Ruck is. I don't think they're much chop. But I'm going to go Butters and Dacos, I think. Get rid of that. Yeah, so that's the team. As I said, probably not too much else to report on. So we'll wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the AFL content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.